Hi, Eric. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. Um, it's an interesting start. I think there's some things here that can definitely be improved upon. I think that you're making a lot of assumptions of prior knowledge that the viewer just doesn't have. Now, keep in mind, and you've heard me say this before, you'll hear me say it again between now and the end of class. Whenever you're putting an illustration together, not even an illustration, any project, any portion of a project, any presentation, as a graphic designer, it's a really healthy practice to assume that the viewer has no idea of what they're about to look at. And it kind of reinforces this thing for a designer to be as complete and thorough and detailed as possible, specifically in visual presentations. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of things happening here that assume that the viewer has prior knowledge to what's happening here. And in this case, we do. We're your audience. We're in your class. We're all working on the same project. We understand this is a linear narrative. It's a visual story. So, using a everyday common household object in a manner that's not intended for its original purpose. Okay, that said, I think that as I said, I think you're making a lot of assumptions here. And one would be things like this. So for example, we go from here, actually, so we go from here to here. Okay, so we see that's like indeed a basket of clothes, right? But he's throwing it up into the air. We don't know what this is. I mean, there's no indication as to what this is really whatsoever. I mean, it could be it could be a dresser with the drawers open. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, we really need to define that as a dishwasher. Otherwise, it doesn't work. The whole narrative falls apart right here if you don't make sure that the viewer knows that's a dishwasher. So think about how you're going to do that. There's a couple of other areas, for example, that have the same kind of visual assumptions. Okay, for example, we go, oh, let me just give you my reactions. Okay, so I think that it's a mistake to do this storyboard um, kind of layout. And the reason being is because from the start, the viewer doesn't know whether to go to the right or to go down in the narrative. Further, the second frame, the viewer, to me, this looks like something that's on a shelf on top of a closet. Okay, so you're splitting this frame, but the viewer doesn't know that. They've got the same color background. So it looks like that this guy is looking in his closet. There's nothing in his closet, but there's an iPad or something on top of the top shelf. See what I'm saying? So, and then further, the viewer wouldn't know, like, where do we go from here? I mean, am I supposed to go down? If so, we go from this to this. Does that make sense? Now, don't forget, in this iPad or this phone, we're not allowed to use text in this assignment. So there's no text allowed. So that you would have to rethink that. So as far as following the story, once we figure out that we are supposed to go to the right and down the page, we've got this guy. It's Friday, right? I think it's a cool style. It's a neat style, the little guy. Almost stick figure-esque, but he's got that kind of cool swoopy hair, which makes him kind of cute. But those guys, anybody who's watching along, you're not going to see this. I'm going to do a system zoom here, but there's little halftone dots on the background, and I love that. I think that adds like this really cool vintage look. So that's kind of cool. But again, I would push that a little further because right now it's just not visible at this viewing distance. Okay, so it's Friday. Okay, so we need to make a connection. How, man? I don't even really know if you have to say see you at 7. It's Friday. I mean, that right there, Friday night with a heart on the Friday. And you could actually say, let me see, I'm going to do another system zoom here. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So there's not enough slots in the calendar. That's important. So you've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's not enough. This calendar wouldn't be right because there's no Sunday. So make that right. That's important. Increase the size of that. That's important because when you see the heart on Friday, the viewer will be able to put that together. It's Friday date night, right? So you don't even really need that iPad. We can go straight from him to the closet. So I would go from him in this perspective to him facing away from the camera, kind of with his arm out and opening a closet door, then looking into the closet to see the empty hangers. All right, at that point, you can have him walking into the laundry room and seeing his laundry is dirty. Okay, that point, maybe show him like this with his arms up like question mark. All right, so but it looks like he's picking up his laundry. Now, this is one of those jumps I'm talking about. We go from here to here. And then with this split frame, you've already trained the viewer to go across. So then we come down here, the propensity would be to want to go across again, right? But now it looks like you're supposed to go down. So there's really no way for the viewer to know what the correct path is through this narrative. At any rate, you got him kind of cussing a little bit, but why? It's just a washing machine. So we go from laundry to washing machine to cussing for apparently no reason. Let's show some sparks and maybe some little bolts or, you know, yellow bolts or something and some smoke coming out. So we realize the washing machine is broken. Then this would make sense. Now what? Okay, and then it looks like he's got the idea, but this is so small, and again, it just doesn't look like a dishwasher. Look how small that is. I mean, the viewer can't even really see what it is. The light bulb's bigger than the dishwasher, basically, right? So, so he's taking his laundry and then throwing it in the washing machine again. I mean, the dishwasher. So again, you really have to describe that as a dishwasher. Otherwise, honestly, it's really, really difficult to follow. So those are my recommendations. I think that, you know, at this point right here, so I'm not real sure what's happening here. And remember, no text. You can't use any type here. So at this point here, I would show him with his shiny new clothes on, and you might put a clock on the background that says 7 o'clock, so we know it's 7 o'clock Friday, time for his date, right? Okay, so, and then my only other recommendation really is to establish some sort of a flow through the picture plane, and I do not recommend this storyboard kind of format. It's just really difficult to follow. Go through some of the examples in this and see how other student designers have elected to present their linear narrative in a way that kind of breaks out of the rigidity of these square shapes or these rectangular shapes and allows each illustration to have a relationship with the general background itself. So think about that. I think it's a much more direct approach. All right. If you have any questions, Eric, at all, please let me know. I'll be glad to clarify. Thank you very much.